Thank you guys for joining me this evening. Shooting midday when the sun is at its brightest. If you're out and you're like in a lot of grassy area or something, that bright sun is just gonna kind of bounce all of those colors all over the place, and it makes it really hard. So you might get like patches of different color on their skin. So that's another one. Clothes can attribute to color cast both by the photographer and the subject. So be mindful of what you wear actually when you are going to take pictures. So let's say you're wearing a yellow shirt and you're getting close up to your subject. You could actually put a yellow cast on them that way. So I would actually recommend wearing white, wearing cream. Sometimes, I still wear black. I like black, so it's slimming. So, but just like bright colors, you want to kind of avoid when you're taking pictures, especially when you're doing up close portraits. And as far as the subject too, pink, magenta, reds, yellows, those are all really strong colors that can create color casts. The next thing is high ISOs and underexposure can have more color cast, and it can be kind of a pain in the rear to edit. So we're actually going to go over a couple of those too. So yeah, all right, let's get started. So also, just to let you know, if you have a pen and paper, that might help just to kind of keep up with me. Okay, so here's an example of underexposing. And yeah, underexposing and also being in an area where the environment has a lot of strong colors. Okay, so the walls were actually, they were kind of like beigey yellow, and there was a ton of red. I mean, this little diner setup was covered in red, so it was just a lot of cast. And this is straight out of camera too, and I shot it at 800 ISO, and it was still, I think my f-stop was still really shooting wide at like f2, and I was shooting really low on the shutter as well, so it's really holding it still. All right, so this is just an example of underexposing, so we're going to fix this real quick. All right, so I'm going to go to my layers. I'm going to go to a new adjustment layer of levels. Go ahead and click OK. And let me find my layers real quick. Ah, there we go. Okay, so if you notice too, this is a masked layer. And let's go ahead and I'm going to click on that. So I'm in my levels and in RGB, so I want to brighten it up just because it is underexposed. So I'm going to grab my midpoint and I just raise it up. Actually raise it up quite a bit. I know it's looking a little funky, but I'm going to be adding some colors to it. So I'm going to add some contrast. I don't want to add too much, so I'm going to bring this left point over to 10 right here, and I'm going to lower that just a little bit. So I'm going to have that at 1.65. So the middle point I moved to the left. It's at 165, and that was to brighten it up. And the left point I brought over to the right just to add some contrast, and that's at 10. All right, so the next thing we want to, now it's really yellow still, and we want to kind of get rid of that. So first I'm going to go to my red channel. I'm going to bring this over here. Bring this to the right at about 16. And this next point I'm going to bring to the left. Actually, never mind. I'm going to bring it to the right at about 77. I can't get it back to 77. Hold on. There we go. All right. Yes, it's very green, but we're not done yet. So we're going to go to the green channel. And we're going to move that down because this midpoint, because I'm moving away and moving to the right, I'm reducing that green. So I put that at point, let's see, let's do 0.81. And now I'm going to go to my blue channel, and I'm staying at my midpoint right there, the top. And I'm just going to bring it over a hair. So I got that at 1.10, just kind of cooling it off a little bit. And that's getting rid of some of that red and yellow undertones there. So I'm going to go back to my RGB channel, because by doing those two things, I darkened it a little bit. So I want to raise it back up just a hair. I'll do about 1.75. All right, so let me show you where we're at. Go to my layers. There we go. So that's before and after. That's just correcting that color. And just to go over what I did as far as the numbers. So with red, it is 16.77. With green, I just stayed in the midpoint and changed that to 0.81. And with the blue channel, I stayed in the midpoint as well and did 1.1. Alright, so let me go back to my layers, and I still want to brighten it up just a little bit more, so I'm going to go to duplicate. I'm going to go again to my screen mode. Now it's really bright, so I'm going to bring that down. So we'll do about, and we could do about 40%, 45% right there. And so that's doing the screen mode. Again, every tool that I'm using, you can use in Photoshop Elements, you can use in Creative Cloud or Photoshop CS. So that's the screen blend mode at 45%. And let me show you before and after. That's before and after. We're just doing some nice, clean, simple edits right there. And even if it's still a little bit yellow to you, then we could go to a new adjustment layer of hue and saturation. Just pick our yellow and just reduce the saturation a bit. So I'm going to go to -23. So I'm just pulling out the yellows with a hue saturation. There you go. So now we are totally done with this one. That is before and after. As you can see, like I was talking about before, as far as the environment creating that color cast. So with this one, you can see she's right next to the red barn. Well, if you look at her, she's got an extra bit of red right there in the shadows, where she's close to the barn and leaning up against it. And on this side, she's got a lot of greenery, a lot of light coming down on her. So what that's doing, it's creating color cast on both ends. So if you're looking at it closely, she's got a lot of the red right here. She's got some red right here, but she's really got a lot of yellow on her chin that we're going to want to get rid of. All right, so to do that, we're still going to stay in our color replacement tool. And we're going to grab our eyedropper. And for her arm right here, we're going to just take this part of her arm, like the bicep part, because it's a little bit lighter. Now we're going to select our color replacement tool, and I have the tolerances at 30%, and the brush I have set to 0% hardness. And let's see, I'll show you real quick. There we go. So I'm just going to brush over her arm right there in just that spot. Notice it's really grayed out, but I'm starting at 100% opacity when I'm doing that. So I'm going to bring that back up. So let's do about 43% right there. You can kind of see before, after, just see her arm right there. And that's just cutting out that red cast. All right, and now we're going to get her chin and kind of fix that yellow there. I'm going to select their cheek right there. Again, the selected color, and just brush over. Bring that down to about 28%. So if you are, again, Photoshop elements start at a low opacity. I tend to start higher up because I like to be able to scale back. But I have that availability to do that if I'm in Creative Cloud and Photoshop CS. All right. Bring that in just a bit more right there. And I feel like I kind of went a little bit too much with her arm, so I'm going to keep the color in my color replacement, and I'm just going to brush over her whole arm. Excuse me. Getting tongue-tied while I'm talking here. And so that's it. Just kind of brighten that up a little bit more. We'll just do that at about 30%, so that's adding some color back, but we got rid of the red. All right, so that is before and after. Wait, before, after. There we go. So these are just minor adjustments too. And she kind of has some in her hair too, so if you wanted to go to her hair, let's take color replacement right there. A piece of the darker part of her hair. Gonna brush along. And I'm making it more even. And I'm doing that at about 42%. And I could do it on this side too. Getting rid of some of the blonde, the yellow part on the blonde. Fade that back to about 43%. And now her hair is a little bit more natural and actually true to life. So that's before and after. Again, really simple fixes, but they do make a world of difference, especially when you're printing. All right, so this last shot here that we're going to go over. And Christy, I just saw that you found it. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know too. All right, so this one right here, we actually had her close to like a pink tint. All right, she's wearing pink, as you can see. She's sitting in a pink chair. She's surrounded by pink. So like there is a lot of color cast. So if you're kind of look at it, it's like, oh, well, the color looks nice. Well, if you look a little bit closer, look at her skin and how there's parts of it that are reflecting and getting some of those casts. So we got her forehead right here is a different color. So we got two different colors happening. So we're going to want to fix that. And also if you look at her shoulder right here that is in the foreground, it's different than right here. So we just want to create some even skin tones. Again, it's so funny because like as I'm talking to you all, I am moving my hands everywhere, but you cannot see me. So that's funny. Anyways, all right. But my mouse is probably going all over the place. So, okay. So I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool and select the darker part right here of her skin on her forehead right there, and I'm going to grab that color replacement tool again, which I absolutely love, and just brush over that part. I'm going to fade that back to about 55%. All right, and if you look right here on her chin, you can see some of that pink. And so we're going to go ahead and get rid of some of that. Just brush it over again. We'll do that one again. Let's do about 54%. And now we're going to go over here. We want to fix this. So I'm going to grab this part of her skin and then just brush over her shoulder. There we go. and fade that back. We'll do that one more about 65%. So again, that's just getting rid of those casts, and like we had some purple and pink that was causing the cast right here. We have the pink shirt that's causing the cast on her chin, and then the pink tent and the pink chair causing the cast right there on her shoulder.